You step in, the heat hits your legs, and by the time you sit down, your whole body goes quiet. The jets, the steam, that moment your shoulders finally drop. Millions of Americans climb into one every year. Hotels, spas, vacation rentals, a friend's backyard. The Consumer Product Safety Commission has been warning the public about hot tubs since the early 1980s. More than 40 years of warnings. What nobody realized until it was far too late is that the danger most people imagine is not even close to what should actually scare them. Nobody was paying attention to hot tub aerosols in September of 2019. Most Americans had never heard the word Legionella. That was about to change. The Mountain State Fair in Fletcher, North Carolina draws families from across the western part of the state every fall. Carnival rides, livestock shows, funnel cakes. Inside the Davis Event Center, vendors had set up hot tubs on display, floor models, plugged in, heated, bubbling away under the fluorescent lights. Nobody was swimming in them. Nobody was even touching the water. More than 150,000 people attended the fair over those 10 days. And inside the event center, the hot tubs were doing something invisible. The warm water, sitting between 77 and 113 degrees Fahrenheit, had become a breeding ground for Legionella pneumophila. The jets were aerosolizing that bacteria into microscopic droplets, and every person who walked past the display was breathing them in. By the time the North Carolina Department of Public Health traced the source, 136 people had contracted Legionnaire's disease. 98 were hospitalized, 4 were dead. A CDC case control study confirmed that fairgoers who visited the Davis Event Center were 10 times more likely to develop the illness than those who stayed outdoors. People who attended during the second half of the fair, after the bacteria had more time to multiply, faced significantly higher risk. It was confirmed as the largest documented Legionnaire's outbreak the state had ever seen. You did not have to get in the water. You did not have to touch it. You just had to walk past it and breathe. That temperature range, 77 to 113 degrees, was a warning sign hiding in plain sight. It is the exact range the CDC identifies as optimal for Legionella growth, and it is the exact operating range of every hot tub in America. But this wasn't just about state fairs anymore. It shows up wherever the oversight disappears. In July of 2023, a man named Ron Oliver walked into the Zenday Spa in Richmond, California. He had come with his wife to celebrate his birthday. They had a Groupon coupon. He used the jacuzzi. 2 weeks later, he was dead from Legionnaire's disease. A second patron died that same month. When investigators arrived, they discovered the spa had no permit to operate a hot tub. It had never been inspected, not once. The county supervisor later said Oliver's widow told him the business looked nothing like the fake photo displayed in its front window. He called the owners extremely irresponsible. A birthday, a coupon, a jacuzzi that looked fine. All it took. The moment you lower yourself into a hot tub, your blood vessels dilate. That's your body trying to cool itself down. Your blood pressure drops. Your heart rate spikes to compensate. Your cardiac workload increases. You are, without knowing it, running a cardiovascular stress test you never signed up for. For most healthy adults, this is manageable. Your body adjusts. You feel relaxed. But add alcohol, and the math changes fast. Alcohol is a vasodilator. It widens your blood vessels even further, compounding the drop in blood pressure. Your heart is now working harder than it should be, while your brain is getting less oxygen than it needs. Drowsiness sets in, consciousness fades, and a person who looks relaxed and a person who is drowning look exactly the same from 3 feet away when both of them are sitting in chest-deep water. Tony Gomez with the Injury and Violence Prevention Division of Seattle Public Health has said that up to 70% of adult hot tub and pool drownings his department investigates involve alcohol. The survivors and witnesses always describe the same thing. The person just fell asleep or went unconscious and slipped under the water. A Scripps Howard News Service study of federal mortality records found that an American drowns in a bathtub, hot tub, or spa nearly every single day. The CPSC has been publishing this warning since the early 1980s. Water above normal body temperature causes drowsiness, leading to unconsciousness, leading to drowning. And that risk, in their exact words, is significantly heightened with alcohol. If you're learning something from this, hit subscribe. We cover the hidden dangers inside everyday life every single week. Enter Virginia Graham Baker and the decision that changed federal law forever. In June of 2002, a 7-year-old girl named Virginia Graham Baker was at a family graduation party at a home with a pool and a connected hot tub. She was the granddaughter of former Secretary of State James Baker III. She had learned to swim on her own by the age of 3, and by 7 she'd earned a spot on her community swim team. She sat on the hot tub drain. The suction pulled her underwater and held her there. Her mother jumped in and tried to pull her free. She couldn't. 2 men eventually wrenched her body off the drain, and the drain cover itself broke from the force it took to separate them. Virginia was already dead. The official cause was suction entrapment due to a faulty drain cover. The force behind a pool or spa drain can reach an estimated 700 pounds. That is enough that multiple grown adults cannot overcome it. That is enough to cause disembowelment. And in 2002, there was no federal standard requiring drain covers that could prevent it. Virginia's mother would look back on that moment and spend the next 5 years making sure it never happened to another child. Nancy Baker lobbied Congress until the Virginia Graham Baker Pool and Spa Safety Act was signed into law by President Bush in 2007. Since the law took effect in 2008, there have been 0 drain entrapment deaths of children in public pools and spas in the United States. For a problem that had been killing children for decades, the fix worked. That should be the end of the story, but it isn't. The act's enforcement is weaker for private residential hot tubs, the ones in people's backyards, the ones at vacation rentals, the ones at Airbnbs, the ones you are most likely to actually use. You can breathe near a hot tub and contract a pneumonia that kills you within the week. You can sit in one while your body quietly shuts itself down. You can be held underwater by a force that grown adults cannot overcome. The real question is not whether hot tubs are dangerous. It's why, after more than 40 years of warnings, so few people know just how dangerous they actually are.